All right. Hello. So today I'll talk about ego. Ego. This is something that is keeping you poor. Whether you're just starting out your business and you don't have a lot of traction in your business, or you already have a successful business, it might be keeping you poor. And it's most likely keeping you poor. And I'll share with you the main mistakes I made, the main mistakes that I see entrepreneurs are making every single day when they allow their ego to pretty much run their life and run their business and do all of those mistakes that are stopping them from achieving the greatness. So I'll share my screen here. It is, let me know if you can see my screen. Should be able to see my screen. Ego is the enemy of growth. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I see so many entrepreneurs just falling victim to their ego. And because I've been through all these mistakes, many of these mistakes, and I have allowed my ego to sabotage my growth, I want to share those mistakes with you so you don't make them. And it even applies to people that are just like starting out in business where they kind of want to do something with their life. They maybe not happy where they are right now. And at the same time, they're like, oh, but like, but this person, like they're trying to learn from someone. And then they say, oh, but like, I know better. I know better. This person doesn't know anything, right? Like, oh, I've done this before. You see that a lot with like successful entrepreneurs where they've been in business for like 20 years and then they're trying to learn a new skill. And as they're trying to learn a new skill, they're like, oh, it's like, what the fuck this guy knows? I've been doing this for 20 years. I have 20 years experience in business. And they stop themselves from getting that new information from someone who is maybe not as experienced as them, but has a new perspective on things and know how things work because the world is constantly changing. And so, number one thing I want to cover is the danger of ego in business. This is a big one. This is a big one. Like, and if you see yourself in one of these, if you recognize yourself in one of these, like just reflect and make adjustments because otherwise, you know, your business will not grow. Like people that allow their ego to run their life and their business, those people never grow it, right? You can use ego to your advantage, and I'll show you how to do it. But most of the cases, the ego is the enemy of growth, right? Because you close yourself from a new information, new people, new connections, new relationships, because you think that you know better. And you probably don't know better because if you knew better, you would be in a different spot, right? And you would achieve all of the goals that you want to achieve. But instead, people are like, oh, but this guy, I mean, he had the advantages. He had rich family, and he had, all of these things. Oh, this guy was born. I remember, I'm coming from Ukraine, and like, oh, it's like, oh, all of these people, they can do all of these things because they were born in the United States. I mean, who gives a fuck where you were born? Like, we live in a world where as long as you have the skill, as long as you have something valuable to contribute to the world, it doesn't matter where you're born. I know very successful entrepreneurs from India, from Ukraine, from Africa, from South America. They're successful entrepreneurs everywhere. And for me personally, some of those decisions I've made, like when I was starting out, like I was like, oh no, I don't want to learn from this guy. I don't want to listen to what he says because it's like, oh, yeah, it's like, oh, he had all these advantages and I didn't. And that's why he's successful because he had all these advantages. You go to the gym, oh, there's like this guy, he goes to the gym, oh, he has good genetics and I don't. Oh, he has all of these things kind of like align in his favor. And you misregard and disregard the fact that the person is working out in the gym like fucking 7 days a week. The person is just putting in more work than you, And that is why that person is successful. The person is not successful because they have, the advantages. The person is successful because they're putting in the work. And I remember, few few spots in my career, especially ego is like you're the most vulnerable to ego, like after some big events, after some big successes, because then you think you made it. Then you think like you're so smart that you cannot fuck it up. The moment you think that, like, and you simultaneously you stop learning new information, you stop networking with people, you start looking for mentors, and you start looking for, like people that can show you the way, that have done the mistakes that you've made. It's even reflected. It's like, oh, it's like I want to start an e-commerce business, but I want to do it by myself. Like this person that's been doing this for 10 years, like, yeah, I can do it better than them. I can do it faster than them. And that's good. Having that confidence in yourself and having those, that bravado, like it's amazing, right? It's good. But if you allow that bravado and that ego to just blur everything that you have, like you can learn from that person and you can shortcut that learning curve, this is where your growth pretty much stops, because you think you already made it. Like, what's the point to learn something new if you already made it? If you already know everything, like why the fuck you would like learn from someone? And at many points in my career, I did this mistake. And it's not like, oh, so yeah, I'm here to show you, like, hey, I've never done this myself, or it's like I'm here to just like preach and tell you what you're doing wrong. But I've done it myself, and that's why. And I mean, that cost me like millions of dollars. Like those mistakes where I closed myself from the information because I saw that I know better. Those mistakes were very, very, very expensive. So number one thing you have to realize: danger of ego in business. It's the biggest enemy of growth, right? So if you catch yourself at some point where you just close yourself from new people, from the information, and you're not trying to learn, like even from people that maybe not at your level, maybe people are here, you're here already, and you think that that person doesn't have nothing valuable to say, and you just closing yourself from the information that person shares. There could be one insight. They might be doing something very simple, something like very stupid simple. But that one idea, if you bring that idea to your business, it can absolutely blow it up. So being open-minded and putting your ego aside is so crucial if you want to have success in business long term. Like, think about the most successful entrepreneurs like in existence. Like all of these people, they like, oh, maybe they have like employee, right, that share some great idea. It's like, oh shit, I mean, that is that is a good idea. And doesn't matter. It's like that person might not have so much experience in business, but they might share a fresh perspective on things that otherwise you wouldn't know. And so always keep a check on your ego, because it will help you to do some amazing things, but it will also can ruin your life and your business. So ego versus confidence, the second thing I wanted to share with you. Now, ego is rooted in insecurity. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason we don't want to learn from other people, the reason we don't want to like open up, is because we're just insecure. And like, I'm insecure sometimes, right? Like it's kind of like takes time to overcome all of the like traumas and all of these things that I have been through. I started to building my self-confidence like at the age of 25, after being like suppressed for so long time. And that stuff takes years and years and years to overcome. And at the end of the day, ego, when you're closing yourself from like new information, new people, like just new way of doing things, is rooted in that insecurity. When you have confidence on the other side, right? So that's ego. But when you have confidence, when you are confident in your skills, in your abilities, when you're confident, then you're open to new information. When you're open to meeting new people, you're open to meeting like, okay, maybe this person has done what I want to do, and that person can show me the way, and I'm confident in my abilities and skills to extract the value from that interaction with that person. I'm confident that I will take the best things from that person, I will apply them to my life, to my business, and I will make it happen, right? So confidence is a lot more valuable than just having ego and closing yourself from anything new. And when it comes to mentors, I see this all the time with entrepreneurs where they're like, "Oh, it's like I've done 7 figures. Like I've done 7 figures in my business. Like I know everything." And then they stop learning, they stop networking, they stop consuming new information, learning new technology. Like even what AI has done. Like you can't stop for a second to learn new ways of doing things, new ways of like optimizing your processes in business, optimizing your business in general. Because if you stop for a minute, there is someone else who doesn't fucking stop. Your direct competitor. If they're not stopping, if they're learning, if they're open-minded, and they're confident in their ability to learn new technology, learn new things, and you're not, then you'll be left behind. And maybe it won't be like visible, and maybe your ego will be satisfied for a moment. But then like you take 1 year, 2 years, and I have seen so many people come and go. I've seen so many entrepreneurs, having their first success, having their first like $1 million year, $1 million months. And then after that, they think, "Oh, wow, I made it. Like I'm doing so well." And then they compare themselves to their family. It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing better than anyone in my family." If they live in a small city, it's like, "I'm doing better than anyone in my city." That's why the value of moving to amazing places like Miami or Dubai, or Singapore or New York, like big places where you realize that you're a fucking nobody. You realize, wow, it just humbles you, right? So humbling yourself, humbling with the environment. I think this is one of the most important hacks, because you might think that you have made it in a small environment. When I live in Poland, I was doing pretty well for myself, and I thought like, yeah, I mean, I'm doing better than like everyone who lives in my whole fucking district. Like probably was making more money than them. And then I said, yeah, it's like I'm doing pretty well. But then I decided to move to Miami. I decided to immerse myself in a new environment that's more competitive, new environment that's that's just thinking and operating on a such higher level. And that helped me to grow my business. You see how it's correlated? It's correlated in ways where, by the way, please drop your questions here in the chat. Would love to make it back and forward. Yeah, perfect. Would love to see your feedback on this as well. It's something that, as long as you have this right mindset when it comes to things, like as long as you have this right like attitude, you will be able to just adjust. And life is all about flexible, like, because times change. Like times, today we live in this like current environment. Like in 1 year it will be totally different environment. We have new tools, we have new platforms, we have competition, we have all these things happening. So as long as you keep learning and adjusting, you'll be successful. And if you don't, then it will be very, very hard life. So I see some questions here. Yeah, very good one here. But if that guy didn't make any numbers, why should I listen to him? This is where it's all hidden, right? It makes sense, right? Like if the person doesn't have any track record, why should listen to him? I was at this last event that we did, and Elite Mastermind. We had about 120 entrepreneurs there. And what I have noticed about the most successful entrepreneurs, like 9-figure entrepreneurs, they're in our community, is that the person was running like 9-figure business is with their phone all the time, and like he's talking to people and he's taking notes, right? Because that person who doesn't have a business might not have anything like major yet. That person might have like one tool or one idea or one insight that can be applicable to a 9-figure business. But if you just like close yourself, like, hey, this person is not like, the right person, like, I don't want to listen to anything they say, then you just close yourself and you wouldn't find that tool. I found some of the most like amazing like ideas from people that were not where I was at that point, like doing less numbers. And it's like now just reflecting on that, I'm like, gee, I mean, how many opportunities I might have missed. Now, obviously, you have only so much time. You can't like associate and spend time with whoever, right? So that's definitely a consideration. But at the same time, like if that person is, maybe they're like very smart at a particular area. That's why I like to associate with people that's running totally different businesses. Like I run e-commerce business or a business doing very well. There's some people that are doing very successful local businesses. There are some people that are doing very successful businesses like in different industries. That is why you see like all of the elite players, whether it's politics, celebrities, business owners, they're all associating together. They all go to the same parties. Why? Because like there is interconnection of ideas, interconnection of concepts between different industries. One thing that you can take from another totally different industry and you apply it to your business, and like no one does it, and you just like cross pollinate like business models, that can just give you like such a competitive advantage. So thinking about it from that perspective, it just like opens your mind to so many different opportunities, but you have to keep your mind open. Like for example, the best people that you can hire for customer support for your e-commerce business, like guess where those people come from? The best people for customer support, they come from hospitality and from hotels. They might not be from e-commerce industry, right? Like totally different industry, but they have the right mindset, right? So it's like if you close yourself, okay, so I'm looking for a specific person for my team, and I'm looking only for someone who's done e-commerce, which is great. They have experience, understandable. But if you're just like thinking in that little box that like, oh, it's only e-commerce, has to be e-commerce, only e-commerce, like this is it, then you're just closing yourself from that opportunity completely. Some of the best media buyers have ever hired, they've never managed an ad before. They've done very well, like they're very analytical. They have they might have like software development experience. They're very like numbers driven. They can live in spreadsheets. And those people make the best media buyers. People wouldn't tell you this. People say, oh yes, you have to hire a media buyer. Like usually the worst media buyers are very experienced media buyers. Why? Because they have ego. They've done like, oh, I've been managing ads for the last like 10 years. I've been doing it this particular way. It's like, oh yeah, this is the only way to do it. Fuck that. I mean, everything changes. Algorithm changes like every week. Like if you're not adjusting, if you're not learning, if you're not observing the trends, if you're not observing what works on a specific ad account, you're toast. And so having this open mindset about things that are working well in different industries is so important. All right, so question here. All right. I'm about to start ecom. I've done lots of researches. It's time to start for me now. I picked a niche, did my website. Would love to hear any recommendations for big searcher, but a new starter. Well, done a lot of research. I mean, now, like if you've done a lot of research, the best way to do it is just to put your ego aside and look at the numbers and start testing products and start looking at the data, which is also ego, right? Like sometimes, we've launched products for our business and I was so attached to it. I was so attached to the product because, oh, this product will absolutely crush. I love this product. I would buy this product myself. And I would prioritize my ego over the actual data. And data is everything. And sometimes, we're so attached to the outcome, we're so personally attached to the things that we do that we just like, I need to make it happen. I need to make it happen. And then we're just spending months and years sometimes pursuing something that market simply doesn't want. That is also a reflection of ego, right? Ego is something that it's kind of like your shell, right? That you're protecting yourself from the outside world. And that's totally fine. I mean, if you think about like 1,000 years ago, right? I mean, you had to protect your interest. You had to protect yourself from like dangers of the world, and you had to like avoid certain things. But if you prioritize protecting yourself versus like, hey, is there like a new information that I can take from somewhere, I can learn from someone, instead of trying to do everything by myself, you just spend a lot more time trying to do it by yourself. So let me share screen here. I have a few more things here to go over, and then I will answer some of the questions. So some amazing questions there from you guys. And please, drop the questions in the chat. So next one I wanted to cover is overcoming ego for long-term success. And again, it comes down to like who you can learn from, how you can speed up that process that you have. And the more success you have, the more vulnerable you are to this. It prevents you from partnering with other people. It's like, I had this conversation with an entrepreneur the other day, and he's like, oh, I don't want to have any partners in a business. I want to have a business that I own 100%. That is a great intention. But at the same time, like, name me like one business that doesn't have partners. Like, even if you think about Facebook, was started by Mark Zuckerberg and also a few partners. Google was started by 2 partners. Microsoft was started by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, right? So all of these businesses, like Apple, Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, right? So all of these businesses are started by partners. And so Steve Jobs could have said, it's like, I want to be like, I want to just run it all by myself. I just like, this is it. Like, I don't want to have anyone else involved in the business. I'll do everything myself. I'll, I'll build these computers myself, and then I'll sell these computers myself. Apple wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be able to, have all of these amazing products if he had this mindset. And so at the end of the day, it's like, if you have some skill sets, if you have certain things that you're good at, you have to look at it objectively and like, okay, maybe I'm very good at this, but I really suck at this other thing. And if you really suck at this, I mean, number one, you can learn and you can try to overcompensate for your lack of knowledge or lack of understanding, or you can find someone who has already figured that out. And you have to give them part of the company, or you have to give them, incentivize them in any other way, so that you don't do everything by yourself. And this is the biggest reflection of this. The biggest reflection of ego from what I'm seeing with entrepreneurs is that when they're trying to do everything by themselves, when they're not networking, when they're not like in other communities, when they're not parts of masterminds. Like I like to ask this question, like from all the entrepreneurs, which masterminds you're part of, like which mentorships you're part of, like who do you learn from? And if people say like, oh, I just do it, I just do everything by myself, and I'm like, okay, good luck. Good luck on your journey. It will be pretty tricky. Like the people that you would meet on the journey, like let's say you want to grow the business and you're doing like 7 figures and you want to get your business to 8 figures, 9 figures, you probably should find a network with like 8-figure and 9-figure entrepreneurs. Like if you want to speed up the process, you can try to do it by yourself, but how much time it will take, how much energy it will take. You'll eventually get there, and I guess your ego will be satisfied, but then you'll be like 10 years older instead of 2 years older, right? So you can buy time by leveraging other people and by leveraging the experience that they have accumulated. But the only way that you can do that is when you put your ego aside and you open your mind to learn and understand that other people might have better answers than you. Some people like, oh, it's like, I don't feel very good, let me fix it myself. And like they don't want to go to the doctor, and then they make it worse, and then eventually they have to go to the doctor. And that's where they realize, maybe I should have put my ego aside and just went to the doctor in the first place, because doctors sometimes they know better. So I have some questions here. I'll answer them in the second here. I have a few more things I wanted to share with you. I mean, this is so important. You have to adapt a student mindset. Now, I covered just like learning from other people. Again, you don't have to associate like or spend most of your time kind of like learning from people that kind of like below you. The breakdown I like on that side is like one third, and 1/3, right? So what I mean by that, 1/3 of your time you should spend with people that are above your level, right? So again, let's say you're just starting out, start networking with people that already have some momentum in the business. They're doing, 6 figures, like 7 figures. 1/3 of time you should spend with people that are on the same level as you, facing the same challenges, right? Being part of the communities, like masterminds, just networks where you just like exchange, okay, what's working, what doesn't, what's working for you. And so kind of helping each other grow together. And 1/3 of the time you should dedicate to give back to people that are maybe not at the same level as you. They're just like kind of like coming up. But the people that, number one, you can help them so you can feel good about yourself, but also you can get some good ideas from those people. Like I said, like for me, I've gotten some amazing ideas from people that were not like operating on my level, but they had a good mindset. They had some good ideas, and I took those ideas and I applied those ideas, and those ideas made me a lot of money. So 1/3 people above you, 1/3 people on the same level as you, 1/3 people that are maybe not as kind of like on your level yet, but smart people that want to grow and have some good ideas. Now, it doesn't mean like you should listen to like homeless people. Like probably they won't give you like very good advice, but they'll probably give you some good perspective, and they'll show you like how much appreciation you should have for the things that you have. Because they might be complaining about certain things that you're like, oh wow, that makes sense. I mean, like, yeah, it's like I have nothing to complain about in my life. So third. And my experience, the most successful people are just like lifelong learners. They learn new technologies. They go from one industry to another. I remember watching this interview from Jeff Bezos. and they were getting into the cloud development. Now, by the way, it's like now cloud is the biggest money maker. So the money maker for Amazon is not their like D2C platform, where we buy products, on Amazon, getting them shipped to us, or we're selling on Amazon. The biggest money maker for them is their cloud. And when they were rolling out that whole department of the company, which right now is massive part of their business, someone asked them like, "Hey, like, but you've never had experience with cloud. Like, you've never done this before. Like, what makes you think that you will be able to make it successful?" And he is like, "Well, I mean, we're not starting from zero, right? We're bringing the best minds. We're just like, hey, we're bringing the best talent that has already done that to our team. And we're just like, hey, we're totally open. Like, we don't know anything. Just like, do your magic, right? We'll give you feedback if necessary, but do your magic," and being totally open-minded. So that is a great example of just putting your ego aside and just like, if someone knows the answer, someone has done what you want to do, just like open your mind. You also want to embrace yourself from feedback and criticism, right? This is so hard for people. Feedback and criticism. Now, important thing here, criticism. It's hard, right? This is what really hurts the egos. Like if you tell someone, hey, you know what? Your ads suck. Like, your website like really sucks. Now, if someone who tells you this has never built a website before, probably you shouldn't listen to their advice. But if someone who tells you this has built like hundreds of websites, right, and or sold like millions and millions of dollars worth of products, then probably you should listen. Probably you should be like, okay, I understand. What would you recommend I do here? And they'll help you. Like you don't want to listen to weight loss advice from a fat person, or don't listen for financial advice from a broke person. What I mentioned about like opening your mind to this category of people is just like, what are the maybe mindset shifts, or maybe some of the things these people do right? I mean, they probably do something right. Everyone does at least something right in their life. You don't want to like overspend the time here. The problem with most people is that they're spending like 80%. Most people just spending 80% of their time or 90% of their time here in this category or this category, right? But they're not spending enough time in this category. So if you're spending 80-90% of your time with people that are below your level, so you satisfy your ego, oh, I feel very good. I'm making like 10 G's a month, and that person's like making 2, and like I feel good about myself. Or like you kind of associating with these people because you don't want to expose yourself to this category of people, because then you'll realize that you're fucking nobody and you're operating on such a low level, and that hurts ego, right? So that's here, this category of people, like top, right? Like top people, like at least higher than you, like a lot higher than you. One of the things that prevents you from associating with these people, spending time with them, is the ego. That's why, that is why I'm sharing this with you, because I see so many entrepreneurs just thinking that they have made it, and they don't want to kind of like look, okay, who's doing better than me? Who should I be associating with to see, how I can be operating? Because like what will happen, right? Like if you start exposing yourself to this category of people here, people that are higher than you, like making more money than you, having better life than you, is that you will realize that you're not doing shit. And that hurts ego, right? And that's why ego is enemy. That hurts ego. You will realize that you'll have to put in a lot more work, which is not comfortable for your brain. Your brain, the only task of your brain is to preserve yourself from the stress, from the frustration, from bad emotions. And it's not comfortable to go and like associate with these people. but it is the only way to grow. It is the only way to grow. Like, associate with these people, you'll see how much more you can do, how much more impact you can create, how much more money you can make, how much better you can look. Like, if you're, let's say you're overweight and every one of your friends is jacked, you probably wouldn't want to spend a lot of time with them, because especially if you're like with them in one room and everyone is jacked and you're not. I remember, so I gained like a lot of weight. I got fat, and we had this like boat party with my team, and we're just like sitting on a boat, on a yacht, and I'm like, geez, I mean, everyone's like in a good shape. I'm the only fat one. But that's really like, that just really showed me like how much work I have to put in. And also it showed me that like next time we go on a boat, like I don't want to look like that. That really forced me. That social pressure that you can artificially create for yourself, it will push you like nothing else. As long as you're not hiding. Most people hiding behind their laptops. Most people would, like, I mean, if you ask me like 10 years ago, like, I mean, I wouldn't go live and talk to people. Like, I wouldn't do it. I had to go through the process where I became more and more comfortable with doing this. Before that, like, I wouldn't. Like, it just like, oh, it's like, oh, what would happen? What if someone says something bad? Oh, if you're afraid of all of those things, which don't fucking matter, because the person on the other side of this would say something bad, or who would criticize you, right? If that person is like farther on the journey and they have a fair criticism, I'm listening. Okay, it's like, Alex, like, you can do this and this and this like so much better. Like right now, like, you pretty much suck. Okay, understand what I can do better. Like, what would you recommend? Okay, I'm listening, I'm applying. But if that person is here, I'm not listening. Like, those people need to first like level up at least to where I am, for me to like, okay, maybe you have some valid points. So let me see some questions from you guys. Some good questions here. I'll answer some of those later on as well. I see some questions when it comes to CPMs. It's not a question about CPMs, but I'll try to help you as much as I can. I have some questions here about saturated angles. Yes, hard Ds. Get it now. Thank you. Even different industries, for sure, because different industries, they do different things differently, right? And like, you can learn something, how they organize their teams. Like, there is this concept, for example, in the manufacturing process. It's called I think Sigma 6, the manufacturing process. It's very interesting. It's very similar to how you would, test products in your e-commerce business. There is a lot to learn from the logistics industry, right? Like how products are getting shipped. There's a lot to learn from there. There's a lot to learn from retail businesses. Like, some retail businesses, some restaurants are very successful. Why they're successful? It's also product. It's very similar to e-commerce. Like, how is it like very different from e-commerce? Okay, retail industry. You have, let's say, some stores that are full of people all the time. Why? And some that are always like empty. Restaurants, you have some restaurants that are fully booked. Why? And you have restaurants that are empty. On the same street, like, I go outside here, I have 5 restaurants. One of them is fully booked all the time, and 4 of them are empty. They'll go out of business very fast. Con 7. Really, ego is a thing that can destroy your business, even if you test 50 creatives per day. Yeah, because besides creatives, right? So you have to understand, right? Besides creatives, so now let's say you're testing creatives in your business, and you are like, Okay, you're having some good traction there, but it's not the only part of your business. It is the most important part. It's at some stage is the most important part of your business. But then, like, what are the next moves for your business, right? What people do you have to bring to your team to make your business stronger, to outcompete everyone? What other traffic sources you have to get your business on, right? So now, like, you just like, okay, there's levels and levels and levels and levels, and the only way you will even think about those levels is when you put your ego aside. Okay, you might be thinking, yeah, I'm testing 50 creatives a week, I'm doing the best I can. No, you fucking don't. You don't. Like, you can do so much more, and you should be doing so much more, because if you want to compete on the highest level possible, if that's who you are, you're just a very competitive entrepreneur. And this who this is for, right? It's not for like average people. If you want to be average, like, just, you shouldn't be watching this. If you're okay being like average and making like just a little bit of money and just like live the like that average miserable life, that's fine. You know, that's okay. But for people that are competitive, for people that want like achieve the highest level of success, it's like you have to constantly level up. And the only way that you can level up is when you open your mind, pay people for advice, get into the right rooms, network with the right people, like listen to criticism and feedback from people that have achieved more than you. That is the only way that you can grow. And it's not comfort. It's one of the most uncomfortable things that you can do. And that is why there's very, very small percentage of people that actually do it, unfortunately. And but that's why, you know, there's only so many, like this small percentage of people that are successful. Most people are not. But that is a difference maker. So next, I want to share with you some practical frameworks. Okay. Frameworks. Okay, practical frameworks. I mean, one of the best things that you can do is, no matter what level of success you have, is to always ask yourself what I can do better, right? So what I can do better. If you just ask yourself this question, you will probably see some uncomfortable answers. And if you ask like this question, like you just have to be open. Like, you can ask these questions yourself if you're honest with yourself, or you can ask these questions from other people, ideally who have done better than you. You have to be open that you have to put in the work, right? So it's like, if you ask like what I can do better, I have these entrepreneurs coming to me all the time. It's like, Alex, what I can do better? So okay, you have to do this, and this, and you have to hire this person, and you have to build this process in your business, and you have to go to this and this event, because there you'll meet this and this person, and then I'll also introduce you to these 3 people that can help you to solve 1, 2, and 3 problems in your business. And they're like, okay, cool. And then I meet those people 6 months later. It's like, hey, how did conversation go with those three people I introduced you to? Oh, you know, I forgot, you know, I didn't connect with those people, and like, you know, kind of like, yeah, I had some other priorities I had to address. Like, for 6 fucking months, like for 6 months, you had to prioritize something else, where it's like, these are literally the things that you have to do, and you didn't do them. Well, I mean, maybe, just maybe, you have to be more proactive. And like, if someone gives you advice, especially if you appreciate that advice, the best thing that you can do for that person is to apply that advice. I give entrepreneurs advice all the time, But the people that I respect the most and the people that I see just overall like getting amazing traction in their life and in their business are the people who apply advice fastest. Like you talk to the person today, you give them advice, within 1 week you talk with the same person, boom, that advice is already implemented. And those people, like just projecting like years, like some of these people I know for like 5-7 years, those people are the most successful. Why? Because they put their ego aside, they take advice, they implement it, they put in action. Right now, sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes they do something and it doesn't work out, and that's totally fine. Like not every decision that you'll make in business will work out. Not every product that you'll test, people say like, oh, it's like, what if I test the product and it doesn't work? Then you'll fucking know it doesn't work. You'll learn something from that experience, you'll test another product with all of those learnings, so now you have a lot higher chance of success because you're accumulating that experience. Yesterday I had a conversation with one of our clients in a BBA program, Brand Builders Academy, and he's 17 years old, and he's making $2,000 a day, and he's in e-commerce for 3 months. 3 months. I know some people that are in e-commerce for 3 years. They're not doing $2,000 a day. Like, so what's the difference? And then I started like asking him questions, and he's like, well, I started this business. He was building apps before for iOS, and I built an app, and I'm like, was this app successful? Did you make it work? He said, no, it wasn't. But he learned from that experience, right? And then throughout the years, he has accumulated all of these different experiences in business that eventually made him successful, and he'll be very successful. I just see that in people where like you can start seeing people that will be successful, and why they're successful is because they just do it, whether it works out or not. They're learning from that experience, and they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. So the people that are like testing first product, it doesn't work out, most people just give up at that point. It's like, oh, it's like e-commerce doesn't work, e-commerce is a scam. People that are successful, I mean, throughout their journey, they've tested like dozens of products, sometimes hundreds of products. I have tested like hundreds of products. Not all of them have worked out, but the one that worked out made millions and millions and millions of dollars. So always ask yourself what I can do better, but then be sure if you're asking that question, especially to someone who you respect, be sure to apply that advice, because it's the worst like demotivating thing to tell someone what to do and then that person doesn't do it. It's a definition of being coachable. Being coachable is when you tell something to do and that person actually applies it. It's like, let's say you play a basketball game and the coach says to the player, hey, when you run this side, just be sure, like, don't step on your like left foot, right? It's like, okay. And then like he tells him that, and that person still steps on a left foot and still steps on a left foot and still steps on the left fucking foot. In that case, the person is not coachable. Then coach is demotivated because he gives that person advice, he tries to fucking help, and the person doesn't even listen. So, and the best people, the most successful people in the world, they're all coachable people. That's why they're able to, like, there's some entrepreneurs that are in business for like 50 years, 60 years, and they're constantly learning. They've been operating their business 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. They're operating it successfully now. Why? Because they have open minds and they're coachable. If someone tells them something, they learn from that and they become better, even at older age. So it's applicable whether you're 15 years old or you're like 70 years old. This is just the mindset. Also, you have to surround yourself with the right people. Like, this is so crucial, with the right people. Like this segment here, right, is super important. The 1/3 of all interactions you have with people, make sure that those people are above your level. If you don't have that, if you only have people that are at your level or people that are below your level, then I mean, it's very hard to grow, because this category is what challenges you to become better. So if you ask like what I can do better, Like sometimes you don't even have to ask that question, because you will see, if you start like recognizing patterns, you will start seeing how these people here operating. Like in our business, we have, someone asked like how many people on our team. Like we have about 70 people on our team. Some of my friends have businesses that have 700 people on their team. Some of them have thousands of people on their team, right? So our team compared to theirs is like very small, right? For some people, oh, you have 70 people on your team, it's a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. It depends who you compare yourself to. If you compare yourself to like, hey, I compare myself to like my friend who has like one VA, yeah, it's like, I mean, you know, your friend is killing it, right? But if you compare yourself to people that are like 10x, 20x, 50x bigger than you and higher up than you and making more like 10x, 20x, 50x more money than you, then you realize that you're not doing that well. And that's uncomfortable. That's very unpleasant experience to just reflect on that. But that's what really makes you grow. Like if you're a competitive entrepreneur. I have a great question here from Heart D's. What if I don't have any right people around me? Find those people. Find, like, internet is your friend. Like WhatsApp communities, Telegram communities, mentorships, masterminds. Even in your city, probably there is like a segment of people that are doing very well. Find a way to integrate yourself into that community. It's like become like an intern. Like one of the best ways that I have seen entrepreneurs becoming successful is they become interns or they join a fast growing company. And if they join like a fast growing company, now they surround themselves with high performing entrepreneurs. And so now they see how that company operates. I mean, one of the first things one of the biggest kind of like paradigm shifts for me was when I was a freelancer and I was just, working with different kinds of clients. I met this entrepreneur that I was working for. He hired me as a freelancer to manage his ads, and he was running drop shipping business. And as he was running his drop shipping business, he was about like 17 or 18 years old. He was making about like $400,000 a month at like 17 years old. And for me, that was like, holy shit. And it's like, I didn't even like join any communities, or I was just seeing him operate. I was just seeing him like traveling the world, having great life and running his business. And I was running his ads. And that's how I learned how to run ads. And that's how I learned about drop shipping. And that's when my whole life has changed. And like that experience is like nothing else. So if you have the opportunity, apply to work in some fast growing company. Like that will teach you about running a business, being in business, operating like a business, if that's your goal, more than anything else. Like even Jeff Bezos, I mean, he worked in this like fast growing private equity firm. He saw how the companies are getting built. He saw how the companies are getting sold. He saw how to analyze the company performance, how to analyze the industry. And then he went ahead and decided to build Amazon. So if you have the opportunity, and you always have the opportunity as long as you look for the opportunity, then find a company that you're very inspired by, find a job there, get a job there in that company, and work in that company. And that will give you like all of the behind the scenes, like you'll see how the company operates, you'll meet people, you'll start thinking totally different. And like now, will you make like a lot of money right away? Probably not, but you will accumulate experience. And sometimes in business, experience is a lot more valuable than money. If you have experience of like running a business, you see all of the moving parts of the business, that experience will be worth more to you long term than just making money short term. and people are chasing money, right? That's why people are like, oh, it's crypto. I wanna buy this like meme coin. I wanna get rich. Guess fucking what? You know how many people I know like from previous crypto cycle that like made money and then fucking wasted all of it because they don't know how to replicate. They don't have experience of building a business. They have they made money, but now like what I do with this money? Oh, I buy myself a car, I buy myself a house, I buy like, all of those things that they always wanted, which is totally cool, but they don't know how to replicate the money, right? So making the money is one skill. Replicating the money and multiply the money is totally different skill set. Building a business to 7 figures is one skill set. Building the business from 7 figures to 8 figures is totally different one. Building a business from 8 figures to 9 figures is a totally different skill set. So you'd have to acquire all of these skill sets as you go, as you grow your business. And in order to do that, the only way to do that is to put your ego aside. That's why I wanted to share this with you today. Like, this is so important and it is so crucial. Like, just reflect on that. Just have someone to call you out. Like, sometimes, I have people in my circle that just like call me out. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you think you've done so well? I'm like, no. Okay, then shut the fuck up and listen. And you need someone in your life to tell you to shut the fuck up and listen. It's very important. So let me answer some question here. My Facebook ad manager just got restricted. Boom. Should I create new ad account or just wait? I don't want to get restricted again. Yeah. So I mean, if that ad account like is important to you, Burner, DM me on Instagram. By the way, I'll drop my Instagram here. If you guys have any questions that I have not covered for you here, that's my Instagram. Burner would love to help you. There is ways to get accounts back if necessary. There's ways to get new accounts. If that account, yeah, have some, yeah, exactly. So that is important. That's where the importance of like being in the right circles and communities and associated with the right people is so important. That will have a tremendous ROI. But in order to do that, just put your ego aside, be willing to learn, be willing to network, be willing to just open your mind. Open your mind. Once you open your mind, like you have all of the good things coming to you. All right, cool. I mean, that was a tremendous conversation. Thank you so much for the questions. If some of the questions I haven't answered, please drop them to me directly. This is my Instagram here. Love to answer them for you. Other than that, have a tremendous Friday 13, by the way. It's like scary shit. Have a tremendous rest of your Friday. Enjoy your Friday with your families, with yourself. If you're building a business, build the business. Build the business on weekends as well. Don't be lazy. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So Instagram here. If you have any questions, that's my Instagram here. Message me on Instagram if you have any questions I haven't answered. Thank you so much, Burner. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, we'd love to help you with your ad account if you want to get it back, if that's a valuable ad account for you. And I'll see you guys next time. I appreciate it. And you have a beautiful rest of your Friday, and put your ego aside.